Okay, so let me go for a full screen over here. So yeah, so myself, Pushpalata, so I'm a Acadgild mentor. So I have been into this training part from past 4 years, and I am developing a couple of Android applications from past 5 years. So I have joined this Acadgild company recently, like 1 year back. So I'm into this field now as a trainer, and apart from that, I'm working as a developer as well for a freelancing stuff. So this webinar will be completely on a TrueCaller app, a similar app kind, not exactly the TrueCaller, okay, the similar, like how exactly the internal things work. So hoping that you all are already familiar with an TrueCaller app. You might have used a long back, right? So the same thing will be discussed. Yeah. So everyone will be like a little bit enthusiastic, like how exactly the things will work internally. So that's the main motive over here. Like we have announced this webinar for everyone. So let me go through our company, Acadgild. So Acadgild has been started up like 1.5 year back, and the main purpose of the starting up this company is like providing a job ready skills for many of the schools students and college members and professionals for that, so that we can reduce the number of people whom other company peoples are looking for, the talented persons. So this is just an education startup, you can tell, and it has been started by IIT and the IIM alumni. So, and the good thing is like Vinod Dham, who is known as the father of the Pentium, he is the CEO of our company. So I hope you all are known with the name of a Vinod Dham, who is popularly known as the father of Pentium. So hoping that I'm switching for the other things. So the first thing which we have to look into, like what does this webinar consist of, like what all things we are gonna cover. So during this time, we are gonna cover like how to create an Android project, which language we are gonna use. So, and then the building blocks, like what all building blocks are required. Suppose we are building some kind of building or something. So definitely some kind of minimum tools are required for that, or minimum materials are required for that. So in the same way, for developing an Android applications as well, we require some kind of minimum things so that we can develop a professional app. So those things will be taught to you. So later on, once we understand like what is for what, the technical terms and the building blocks. So later on, we will discuss like what exactly a TrueCaller app is, how the client server module works, how you are sending the data to a server, and how you are retrieving it, and how you are searching your numbers over there. So that's how this is gonna go. So apart from that, like the threads concept of Java, that is multi-threading will be used for a client server interaction. A normal program flow we will discuss, and how exactly we are getting the response. So these are the contents for our 2 hours webinar. Okay. So coming to this thing, so now let's look into the stuff like what exactly an Android is and its development environment over here. So Android is nothing but a mobile operating system based on the Linux kernel, and it has been currently developed by Google. So here let's discuss like what exactly the kernel is. So kernel is nothing but a kind of a program written to verify your software and the hardware, the drivers part. Suppose your drivers are not properly installed. So there will be some lag due to the internet issues and other things, and you will not be able to hear properly if the drivers are not connected properly. So those all things will come into. So this kernel program will verify whether your drivers are properly built or not. So based on that, the audio things and other things you will be listening over there. So that's the main thing, how exactly this kernel works. So the lowermost layer of your Android will consist of this Linux kernel. And the middleware will be consisting of all the packages of an Java will be built within this middle layer along with your other kind of additional libraries. Like if you want a database to be developed, so you require an SQLite for your Android. So that library will be existing within this middle layer. So apart from that, the topmost layer will be consisting of all the applications. All the topmost applications which you are going to build for the topmost layers. So that is how it will be done. So the internal coding, how exactly we are going to write for the specific Android is Java. So it will be completely based on a Java program. So what we are going to learn today. So coming to the tool, you have to download and install an Android Studio tool. So once you have started installing it, so you can have a look over here, something like Android Studio. So this is the logo of that. So once it is done, so later on you can just start creating a project. So whenever you are creating an initial project structure, so it will be having an initial project folder structure over there. So it will look something like this in this manner. So these are all are pre-built. Just you have to just enter a project name and just you have to proceed with the continuous next. You have to just follow the instructions over there. That's it. So once you follow the instructions over there, so this is the initial project structure which will be reflected. So in a Java, we will see like we will be having a public static void main, which is an entry point to your program, right? So here you have an Android manifest.xml file. So that is a fifth one here, which is highlighted. So that is the metadata of your application. So this will hold all your details, like what all screens you are holding and what exactly you are doing with this application. So those all things, it has to go within this metadata. That is Android manifest.xml file. So there itself, you will mention which is the first screen which has to be open up when you are clicking on a shortcut icon on your mobile. That is called home screen icon or a launcher icon, it is told specifically. So all your screen designs will go within this layout part. The third one which you see here, so that's the one thing. So activity underscore main.xml or fragment underscore main.xml. So those are related to your screen designs. So nothing to worry much about a screen designs. It's just like a drag and drop feature and some additional properties you have to assign it over there. So coming to the pictures, because everybody will be crazing about creating a good UI, the look and feel and the graphics, a lot mess of stuff. So those all things you can place over here within this drawables. So if you see, there are 4 folders for your drawables, that is HDPI, MDPI. So what does it stand for and how it will be connected with? So if you see here, HDPI, high definition pixel indexing it is called. Suppose some of you are having a high definition mobile, some of you are having a little bit low definition, and some of you are having a medium definition. So based on your mobile software will detect, your OS will detect like which picture it has to load, whether it's a HD, if it is your mobile phone belongs to an high definition pixeling. So based on that, it will load from this drawables based on your resolutions mentioned over here. So X means extra high definition, XHDPI. So in that manner, all your pictures will be loaded. So and all your Java program will go over here. In the specific Java folder, this is the package and this is your file, main activity. So this is how your initial structure will be. So let's look into a little bit more like what are the building blocks so that we can start developing an initial project's flow on the UI design. So there are 2 terminologies like which have to be familiar with. So one is the activity, other one is the content provider. So activity is nothing but a single design which you are gonna make with which you can interact with. Suppose once you are opening up your Facebook application or Twitter application or TrueCaller application itself, first landing page will be open. So that is one activity. So whenever you are moving to the next screen, that will be your one more activity. So each and every screen design which you are having that individual one will be an individual activity with which you can interact with. So that is how the activity can be represented. And the main building block which we are going to use today for a TrueCaller app, that is a content provider. So with the name itself, it reflects content provider. Content means data, provider means providing something. So which provides the data. So to whom we are providing. So one application has a right to provide an data to another applications. So that's how the hidden logic of your TrueCaller works. So the one application which is going to share among other applications is a contacts app. So you will be storing as many contacts in your contacts app with your friend's name or your family member's name and your circle's name. And then you will be entering the phone number, email IDs, and other things. So that's how it works. So once you have entered, your TrueCaller apps fetches those all details from your contact application using this content provider. So this is the whole logic. So later on are like a client server interaction which we will be having. So this is the main hidden logic. So let's start creating a project before proceeding. So here I'm having already an Android Studio opened. So this is the folder structure which I mentioned, like Android manifest.xml, the Java folder, and the res with the drawable and the layout design file. So this is the initial structure. So how to create a project? So just go to your file, new project. So here this new project dialog will be open. So just give here your application name as TrueCaller app and just click on a next. And just here you have to select your screen design, whether you want a screen design initially or you don't want. So if you don't want, you can have it over here. Later on, you can keep on adding your screens as per your requirement of your project. So here I'm going for the blank activity at present. And just here I'm going for the next. So here you can see this activity name. Whatever here you're entering, that is your actual coding part of your Java. The layout name is associated with your screen design. So these are the two values which you have to take care and which we are gonna look through now. So just here I'm clicking on a finish. It will try to generate an initial folder structure as we have discussed in a slide. So let's just check it up. So it will take a couple of seconds. So it's almost open now. Let's see. So here you can see and screen design within the layout activity underscore main.xml. So this is your mobile screen where you can have a drag and drop kind of feature. So here you can change your version, like for which version you want to test. So 4.4.2 stands for an KitKat. So I'm selecting that one. So it is rendering. Rendering means it is regenerating the screen based on the look and feel of a KitKat. So let's see once it's been rendered properly. So any kind of queries or something you have in between till now? Like what exactly the Android is or any other stuff? Till now, whatever we have discussed, like what is activity, what is a content provider. So these are the two terminologies which you have to be familiar with. Yes. So Sheikh has an specific query like what means a Gradle script. So Gradle scripting is a kind of a files where you will be having the whole configuration of your app. Like what all additional libraries you are using, what is the build type, what is your application ID, from which version to which version you want to support. So those all things will be mentioned within this Gradle script. So this is an auto-generated file and it is a very best feature of an Android Studio. Because what this scripting will do is, yeah, it's just like a metadata, Rajendra, which will verify like each and every coding, whatever you are writing, it is being written very proper manner or not, whether it is suitable for that specific version to which you wanna deploy or not. Yes, this is an Android Studio IDE. I am recording it from my end, so not to worry about from your end, and it will be shared to you through your emails. So your .apk file, it will be visible within your build, within your project location. So there will be a folder called build. So within that folder, you can find an .apk extension. Okay, yeah. So let's continue. So hope your queries are answered, right? So, okay, fine. So let's go through the other contents for 15 minutes, and again, we will have a query session in the same manner. Yes, Dipta, we can edit our Gradle scripts. So whenever we edit, again, your Gradle will verify each and every file, and later on it will give you the things like the errors and other things if you are facing any things over here. Like if the supportable version are not there. Suppose you have not installed a Jelly Bean and you are trying to develop a project for a Jelly Bean. So it will, your Gradle will verify that, and it will intimate you that the error has been raised. This is what you have to resolve. So those all facilities are there. So yeah, if anyone is facing with an issues or lag or something, yes, they can definitely go through a offline. So someone has asked like, shall I go through offline for this video? Yes, definitely you can. Yeah, you guys can stop the video view. From the bottom of your app, there itself you will find a symbol with the video icon. So just click on it, that your videos will be stopped. On the left bottom. I will be explaining you, Dipta, what exactly the manifest consists of. Okay, so we will go step by step. Okay, yeah. So let's start with the thing. So this is the initial structure. So keeping this Gradle script apart now. So here I'm going for the layout design. So the first thing whenever comes our mind is a screen design. So later on we will be building step by step like the manifest file and the Java code. Okay. So now here I want to have a look and feel a similar like an TrueCaller, suppose. So here the first thing I might be requiring the title. So just this is a large text widget, which is nothing but an element which you can place on your screen. So here I'm just dragging and dropping that part. This is a large text. So just double click it, and here you can have a name, TrueCaller. So just click outside, it will be reflected over there. So if you require some kind of images, the TrueCaller image or something, just copy and paste the file within this drawable folder. And here the image view is there. Just drag and drop and just double click it. There will be SRC. So just click on these 3 dots. Here you will find many system images, the colors, whatever you require, you can have it over here. So here I'm going for the drawable now. So within this drawable, which one you require, so based on that you can go for. So here at present I'm going for a IC launcher itself, or else I can copy paste from another app, the picture if I require. So here I'm just searching it, IC launcher. See, this is the one, and this is the picture which is gonna reflect. So here I have an IC launcher.png, the same file version with a different resolutions, just so that you cannot get a blurred image or slagged image or compressed or something. So the picture quality should be maintained. So that's the same thing here we are gonna have. See. So you can increase the size. So just select it and just drag it up over there. So you can move this one anywhere on your screen over here. So one more feature which we are gonna have is where the user can enter the phone number. So this resources are already like in the structure you will be seeing. You can just download a picture. Make sure the filing conversion is in small case A, B, C, A to Z. A to Z, 0 to 9, or else underscore. Okay, so that's the naming conversion which you have to follow, and just you can copy paste it over here. Just copy from your desktop and select this drawable and then press and Control V. It will be copied. Okay, Soundarya, yeah. So Kamalraj has a question like how to keep files with same files in the folder. So whenever you're copying any kind of picture, right? So at that time it will reflect like in which type you want to have this specific one. So whether you want to place it within a HDPI or XHDPI. So at that time you can select that one. Whenever you're pasting, at that time itself it will show. Okay, yeah. So now coming to an entry part, because the TrueCaller app is famous for searching in numbers or whenever you are getting a call to identify numbers. So the next step is like having a place where you can enter your number. So here exactly I have. So here you can go with a phone number because TrueCaller is famous for that. So here I'm just dragging it over here. So this is an area where exactly you can enter your phone number. Sure, the video will be forwarded to you, the video tutorial. So don't concentrate on that much part or worry about it. Okay, so here coming to this one. So if you see the type, this is of edit text. With the name itself, edit text means I can edit the value. So the user has a right to edit the value. So if I see this one, this is a text view. So here you can see it's a part of a text view. So text view means which the user can view but don't have the permission to edit it. Through a code, we can assign it over there. So there's a basic difference between an text view and the edit text. Okay. So now coming to the assigning the color. Right. So here, just select the full screen. So here, whatever the properties you require, you can select it over here. See, whatever the widgets or UI element you're going to select, here you have an properties for which you can assign as many things as you require based on the properties. Like margin you can assign, padding you can assign. So a lot many features are there. So apart from that, here I'm going for an background. See, I have just searched it, it's been reflected here. So let's assign a background color for that particular edit text. So here I'm selecting this one, 3 dots. Here you will get in color, this color tab. So just select in color over here, whichever color you require. That color will be reflected over here. So just click on OK, the color will be reflected there. So if you are unable to see, let's assign a dark color screen for this specific relative layout over here. So here again, I'm going for a background. I'm selecting a color of a darker blue or something, color. So let's go with the dark blue or something, which the TrueCaller uses. See. So once you have a perfect picture over here on this edit text area and other things, this is how your app is going to look like. So similarly here itself, you can place and copyright stuff at the bottom. So here I'm just pulling the text at the bottom of the screen. I'm double clicking it. Here I will have a copyright text. You can have as much as long as you can. Coming to this part, so user will not identify opening up and resources. So here you can open it up automatically. Once you click it, it will be opened automatically, what are the pictures you want to see and other things. Apart from that, you can go to the specific folder structure. Like in my case, it is like C, users, admin, downloads, fragments, TrueCaller app. So from there also you can open. So here there is no shortcut like something. So just you have to go with double click. That is the one shortcut. So directly here you can go for your source for opening up the resources, like what all colors you require or what all pictures you require. So those all things. Is it clear, Gaurav? Yeah. So now let's concentrate on this part now. So this is an edit text, right, where the user will be entering. So if I give you this application for entering up something, what you will enter, you will be getting confused like what to enter over there, right? So some kind of hint or something has to be provided to the user. So that hint here I'm gonna represent. So here I'm just searching out hint. So this is a hint here. Here I'm gonna enter a value like enter phone number. So I can give a padding for that one so that it will look like even more better. So here I'm going for a padding. I'm just enlarging it. So here you can give a left, right, or all padding. So here I'm giving a padding of around 10 dp. So always the padding is counted as, yeah, so that's a good question, Karthik Dipta. So what is a padding? So it's a common terminology used for all the technologies. Padding means the internal spacing of your element boundary. So if I give a padding here like 10 dp, density in pixels, dp means here I'm just giving it, see here, the internal spacing of this widget has been increased. So as you increase, the space will keep on increasing. Like here I have increased for a 30, see. So this internal spacing is called an padding. Yeah, in CSS also we will be using the same padding, margin. So whatever the technology it might be, for screen designs, these are like common terminologies used, padding, margin. Even in a Word document also you will find these terminologies. Okay. So anyway, hope now you all are clear with the padding, what exactly the padding is. So here we have a proper structure. So now let me increase this one. So exactly here the people can enter the phone number, and for a functionality like I need to have a button or something. So where exactly once the user will enter the phone number and once they click on the button, so then the internal coding will start executing, like fetching the data from the server and finding the number to whom it belongs and then showing it to the user. So for that one here we have an button. It is called a push button widget on which you can perform a click functionality. Click functionality, it's been represented as an event handling on which you can perform something for doing some kind of task. So this is a button. So I'm just clicking on it. And here I'm having a button name has a search. So once the user will enter here, click on his search, it will start searching a number. So this is how your Android screen design is being built. So any queries still here? So we have done for another 15 minutes. So we can have a query session again. Okay. So no reply from copyright. It means like this app belongs to a specific person. Whoever is the owner, to them it will belong to. So that's the copyright means. So here, this is the app which I have developed. So here you can see like this is the copyright which I have written. Okay. So if you see here, this all things are fine. Like you can increase the text size and other things over here within the properties. Yes. It will be deployed for all the screen designs, and based on that, it will adjust it. It is suitable for all the screens. Automatically, it will adjust. So that's why whenever we are giving something like values and other things, right? So for those all things, it will adjust automatically in terms of a DP, density in pixels. Yes, you can do an animations. It's possible. So it's like a little bit more we have to go with elaborated. So if you can drop a mail, Deepta, so we will get back to you with the steps for that, because it will be like 10 minutes we have to spend on that. Okay. I hope you can understand. Yeah. So you can get back to us through a mail, or we will send you the steps how to do that. Yeah. Thank you. So here Sheikh is asking like insert symbol. Yeah, I'm coming to that part itself. So coming to this one, I want an left or right side icons. In many application, you will see like left side some icon will be there with the if you are entering some contact information or something with a contact picture over there. So that part you can have over here. If I go for this part, the text at the bottom here, I'm clicking. So this is the internal coding developed for this specific screen design. So I'm selecting this one, specific one. You can just go to the file, open, it will be there. From there you can open it, or reopen is there. From the top corner you will get in file. From there you can open it. Yeah. So here I'm selecting the specific edit text. So here if you see, this is being highlighted. So in this one I'm going to write a one line of code, Android : drawable left, bottom, and right. It's your choice. So here I'm going with the right at the rate of Android, telling that I want to use an inbuilt resource, not our resource. Control space again, drawable, control space. Here you will find lot many pictures which are already inbuilt. So menu save for a save one. So if you want a search, you can go for an IC menu search. So just I have selected that one. See, this is a search icon. So this is a way how you can add in drawables. So left side you want to add, right side that you can decide based on the value over here. So here I have selected an right. So if you change it to a left, it will be changed to the left. So that is your choice completely. Okay. So shall we proceed further? So coming to this part, like reopening an application. So this is the part like file open or else file reopen. So this many applications are here which you can reopen. Just now whatever you have closed earlier. So those all things here you can open. So coming to the next part now. So once your screen design is ready, okay, with the perfect pictures, whatever you want to place and what are the values you require. So next thing is like we need to write an activity as we discussed. So that activity code here I'm gonna have within the Java. So this is the main activity. So just if I open, so this all things are not required. So I'm just deleting it. And I'm editing this one as well. So this is like a pure code which is required. So here the first thing is like here I'm having an class name followed by an extends activity. So whenever you're extending an activity, you are telling that in this specific class file, that is main activity, we are going to perform some kind of user interaction stuff related with specific screen design. So within this one, there is an overridden method called an onCreate which you need to have. So here I will just type like onCreate. Here it will be reflected. Just keep on typing. Your Android Studio is IntelliJ used, so automatically it will fetch all the values whatever is inbuilt. So lot many methods are there. So we are going to concentrate on it onCreate. So onCreate is a method where your screen design will be created. It will give you a blank window. So it's similar like whenever you want to build some kind of building or something, you require a land. If the land is not there, you cannot start up your work. Similarly, for all your mobile screens, you require some kind of space, a blank screen. On top of that, where you can place your UI design. So this specific call, super.onCreate, is going to give you that blank window. So on top of that blank window, I'm going to add our screen design using and set content view. So here I'm just calling set content view, and how to call our particular screen design. So here within the res, within the layout design, so this is the activity underscore main.xml. So the same step here I'm going to repeat r, which stands for resource res dot layout folder, which stands for layout dot the class name. Over here, so this is a class name, which is a file it has to be associated. So this is the screen design which we have made, activity underscore main.xml. So that part here I'm going to give. So here I'm calling activity underscore main. That's it. So hoping this is done, if you deploy your application, it will work fine. It will show you a screen without any kind of user interaction over there, because we have not written any kind of logic over here. So before going for an execution, make sure, as I mentioned, this specific activity screen is registered within the manifest. That is metadata of your application. So how to do that is within the app. Sure, Dipta, I can show you. So let us complete with Android manifest. I will show you the coding part. Okay. So here coming to the manifest, this is a Android manifest.xml. So within this one, if you see, this is the application tag within the application telling that this is our application. Here I'm having an activity. So within the activity, here I have mentioned the class name has a main activity. So that main activity is having some kind of features internally, because as I mentioned, we have to decide which screen should be the first screen which has to be loaded, right? So here I'm mentioning like action and the main over here. So whenever you call this main, so here I'm just going with the main. So it will give you an inbuilt main path. So that will decide that this is the entry point to your program. And here one more is there like a category. So what this category will do is within your specific mobile, many shortcut icons will be created through which you can relaunch your application again and again, right? So that's the reason here I am giving a launcher. So those shortcut icons, the home icons which you will be having is nothing but a launcher. So if you're not specifying this specific line, your shortcut icon will not be created and you will not be able to open up the application again and again. Only one time it will execute. Once you shut down your application or you close your application, that's done. You will not be able to open up the same application again. So that's the importance of having a category in form of a launcher. And the reason why here you have to give a dot main activity is it's very simple. So if you see here the package, this is the folder structure where exactly your file is existing. So followed with that, it is mentioning dot main activity. So if I remove this TrueCaller, you can mention it over here as well, like TrueCaller dot main activity. So here I'm just removing it. So it will keep on continuing over here. So if you don't want to mention even again like this one, sample dot, you can push it over there. So just make sure of the dots. According to the Java for packaging structure, we have to follow. So this is the specific path of your main activity. Here it could have been familiar with, like here I am using GSISP admin TrueCaller app on the main activity. So that's the same thing over here. Okay. So someone has asked regarding the layout design to go through once more. So like in the internal coding. So here I'm just opening up the layout activity underscore main.xml file. So this coding you can see at the bottom. So here if you see, this is a design and this is a text. So this is the coding. So lot many things are written internally. We will just work on a drag and drop, and there yourself adjusting the things, because all the properties you will find within the design structure itself on the right hand side where you can manage. So if any typical issues is there, then only we will be going through this coding for an editing. That also, it's very simple. So just click on a specific element which you want to edit. It will highlight. See, image view. If I am selecting this one, as I mentioned, that is a text view, it's been highlighted. So this is a specific coding for that, which has been generated internally. Okay. So now let's concentrate how to perform an. Yes, it's been built automatically. You are not allowed to create an Android manifest.xml yourself. It's an automatically generated file. Okay, so make sure of your project structure, whatever the initial structure you're getting, don't delete any of the files from there. Because everything is linked up with each other, and you will be facing, as a beginner, some kind of issues. So later on, once you are into a development field, like you have done a couple of apps, like one or two, then you will be pretty much confident, like which file has to be edited for which. Search icon is very more simple. So just go to this part, edit text, and just you have to add an drawable left property with this specific value, with the drawable value over here. So automatically it will add the search icon for this one. Okay. So regarding the steps, you can just go through once through a video again. So now let's switch for an interaction of our app. So now coming to our app. So whatever here you are having, right? The activity main.xml. So in this one, we require two things to be worked out. One is this search box. So for that search box, I will be giving some name, because I want to, here you are along like 30 to 40 members, suppose. For among you all, I have to call someone else. So I will be representing you with the name, right? Similarly, on the screen also, there are many elements. So how I can represent those members, how I can interact with them. So I will be giving to individual one individual ID. So here, if I double click on this one, this is the ID. So here, this ID is like, I can give enter underscore phone number. So whenever I'm gonna interact with it, so that interaction you can do through an Java code. So how you can call this ID is r.id. This specific name. It is necessary because it will give you a blank bad window token. Because without having a blank window, you cannot place your UI design. Some space is required for placing your screen on your mobile. So that space is being given, and that space is being generated by your activity class by calling it super functionality. Your activity will handle that, retrieving the blank space on which you can place your screen. Exactly. So it is gonna give you a blank window part. Yeah. So for each and every thing here, you have to give an ID, something like this, so that you can interact with. So once that part is done, so here comes our normal interaction, which here I'm opening up the actual application here. So I'm opening the main activity. So this is the one which we have discussed. So here we will go one by one step, like what all things we have to go for. So we are very familiar, like what all widgets we have used on our screen design. The first thing is edit text, which is for the number. So this is a class, edit text, which is being imported directly from an widgets. So here you can see Android.widget. button, edit text, and the text view. So these are the three things which we have discussed. So nothing to worry about that. It is automatically imported. So whenever you will type writing and edit text, automatically it will take care of the importing. So there's a one more feature of your Android Studio. So here we have an edit text number. Here I have a button class followed by an object reference called in search. We had a search button, right? The same thing. Text view followed by an object reference. So this is just an declaration part. So once the declaration is over, so the next step is linking this one with your screen design. So that part here I am doing over here. So we are going to concentrate on these 3 lines, and it's very simple how to do that. So if you see here, this edit text number is there, right? So the same object reference here I'm going to instantiate. So what will happen if you're not instantiating your objects? You will get a null pointer exception. So that is very must ensure to instantiate it. So there's the same procedure here I'm doing. So there is a method called find view by ID. So what this method is going to do is it will go to this specific page layout design, and it will verify whether within that one this specific ID is there or not. r.id.et_phone number. So if you want to cross verify, I can show you up over here. So this is a screen design. See, I'll just double click it, et_phone number. So that's the same thing there I am calling. So nothing new. So this specific one, it will return you the view reference. This specific line will return you the view reference. So that view class object reference has to be typecasted to an edit text. Then only it can be assigned to this edit text object reference. Yes, it is done automatically. Like suppose I'm editing this one, I will just show you one line of code. Like once I have written a number, here I'm going to call find view by IDC. So I'm just selecting that one. Only the thing is you have to keep in remembering the class names and the methods. Which class is used for what all methods are there. So once you're familiar with that, it will be easy. So here I'm calling r.id.et phone number. That's done. So here I'm ending with a brace and the semicolon. So here if I click, see, cast to an Android widget edit text. So just click on that. Your line is ready now. So ID is a name given to your UI element, Soundarya. It's a name so that I can interact with that specific element. So now we have whole control over here to this number. So what are the interaction you are going to make? You will be calling this specific object reference, whatever you are going to make. Suppose in this case, I will show, I'm calling number dot. Suppose you want to retrieve some text, whatever the user is entering, because it's an edit text. I will just call get text. It will give me the output. Yes, exactly. Karthik has replied, instantiation is making an objects or variables of a class. Yes. That is what Gaura has replied to Karthik. Yes, it's true. So it's generally a terminology taken from in Java. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Gaura, for replying. I just messed up over there. Okay, fine. So let's switch for this thing. So here, this is for button and this is for text view. So just you have to keep on changing the class name and here the ID references. For each and every case, it's the same. Because this specific ID reference is of a type text view. This specific ID reference, it's of type button. So based on that, you have to keep on changing. So now we have our screen design whole controls over here, because we have instantiated all the things over here. So nothing to do with your UI now. No need of touching that one. You can keep aside your layout part. So now comes our actual logic which we have to concentrate with. So the first logic which I would speak about is like whenever you're dealing with any kind of application, because it's a worldwide application, many members are using it, right? How you will connect with a TrueCaller app? Internet is required, right? So for that internet, some kind of permissions has to be given within a manifest, telling the admin of the mobile that we are gonna use your internet connection without knowing you. So if you could have observed, whenever you're installing your application, a couple of permissions will pop up for an acceptance. Your app is using this read contacts, it is using your internet, blah, blah, blah. So lot many things will come up. So those all permissions are coming because it's been mentioned within the manifest file. So here I'm mentioning the internet permission because we are gonna use an admin internet within our application and we have to intimate them. So that's the reason why it has been mentioned. So once you have given an internet permission, you will be accessing the network state, whether the network, that is internet, is enabled or not. For that one, here I'm having access network state permission. So if you say this, all permissions are users permission. Users permission means it's an admin permission, the mobile owner permission. We are taking the permission from them for the usage. If you're not giving, your application will not work. Yes, we require an internet permission whenever you're dealing with any kind of application related with server or a Google. It's compulsory. For each and every category, individual permission will be there. Suppose you want to write something to your SD card or something, write external storage permission is required. Without that, you cannot write. Similarly, for a Google permissions will be there separately. Okay, so once that step is over, so here I'm checking in a if condition, is network available? So you might be wondering, is it an inbuilt method or something? We have to refer the documentation from an Android developer site. There they are having around 110 permissions which you can look through. But remembering all those things is a little bit difficult. So based on the project, you can pick and you can refer that, whether it is useful for your project or not. So in this project, I required an internet permission, so I used it. Yes, it will work for Wi-Fi network too, any kind of network. So here I'm not using any kind of condition like only with mobile or only with Wi-Fi. For every network, it's a common, which I'm using. Yeah, it's not a Google developer site, it's an Android developer site, which you can refer. If you search Android developer, the first site which will be reflected is the Android developer documentation. The whole documentation is being written over there with many stuff. And many developers are part of it just to update the document day to day. Because if you see many new things are coming like watches, auto cars for an Android and other things. So what are the projects you will also be developing? For that one also, it has to be documented properly, like which method is used for what and other things. So the other members will be quite familiar with. Okay, so coming back to here I'm checking, is network available? So you might be wondering, it's an inbuilt method or here I have written. So definitely here I have written at the bottom. So this is the method. Is network available? So here I'm passing an context. Context is nothing but an object reference of your present class. So if you see here, this is a class name, right? So here I'm pointing it with this reference, telling that I want to point to the present class object reference. So that part is being passed over here as a context. So here I'm expanding the code to show you up what exactly it is doing. So for each and every part, one activity manager will be there, connectivity manager will be there. So like that, for each and everything, one manager will be there. Just like in a businesses, like for each and every load, one manager will be there to guide you up, right? So in the same manner, here we have a connectivity manager who will manage all the connections and who will be having all the things over there, like what the network state is, whether it's turned on or off, and other things. So how to get that service from your manager is you have to request them through and get system service. So what kind of service you require? Connectivity service. So this will get connected with your connectivity manager. Connectivity manager will verify whether it's there or not. And when here you're calling get active network info, so at that time it will return your value. If it is connected, it will return true. If it is not connected, or if some issue is there, suppose your tab or something does not support a Wi-Fi or any other things, mobile SIM network or something, it will just return you the null. So that's the purpose of this one. So now, okay, fine. We are done with this one. We are connected with the internet and other things. So next thing comes the TrueCaller app. The fetching of the contacts has, Sarvajit has replied like fetch contacts is fetching contacts from where. So we are going to go through that one itself now, like how to do that. Okay. So once that part is over, so here this if condition is validated. Okay, based on your internet connectivity and other things. So next part is like fetch contacts. I have to fetch the contacts. So as I discussed in our presentation, from where we are going to fetch the contacts? Through a content provider. So in our case, who is the content provider? Our contacts application. So if you see here, this is my emulator. Emulator is like a virtual device which you can launch. So how to launch it is, it's very simple. You can just go to Tools, Android, AVD Manager. So it will give you a pop-up where you can create your own virtual devices and you can start it up. So in the same way, I have started it over here. So this is just, it will give you the same look and feel of your mobile. So these are the contacts. So this all contacts I am going to fetch within our application now. So this is an inbuilt application called an contacts. Okay. So now I'm going to use an content provider logic. So let's switch for that content provider logic over here, which is being written within this fetch contacts method. So this is the part over here, fetch contacts. So I'm opening up the code of that specific one. So this is the code. So generally, whenever you are working on an internal apps, you might be having your own database for that, where you will be saving all your details. Similarly, this contacts app is having its own database with some kind of tables and the columns. So this is exactly the column name. So this one also I have retrieved it by going through the documentation. In the documentation, contacts app developer has written that if I want to fetch an ID, display name, and whether the specific person has a phone number or not, I have to refer this specific table. So this is the path exactly to the table. So once you're connected, it will give you the path for that. So that path is in terms of a URI. So hope you all are familiar with the URI. So which stands for a Uniform Resource Identifier. So for each and everything it differs. Suppose you want to fetch some kind of file or something. So it stands for file : /. Similarly, if you want to browse some data in the internet, so which one you will follow? HTTPS, right? So that is one URI. So it stands for an uniformity for a specific linkage. So similarly, this is a uniform URI content which will be linked with a contacts database. Normal database which is having a column references called _ID display name, and has phone number path. So all these things I have stored within the string references. So next thing is like, okay, suppose a person has a phone number. I have to refer one more table where exactly all the phone numbers will be listed. So this is a path for that. Contacts contract.common-data-kinds.phone. So it will give you the phone table URI path where exactly the phone contacts are residing. So within that table, there is a two columns, contact ID and the number, the phone number. So this is the way how exactly we can retrieve the phone numbers from our contacts application. Exactly. The TrueCaller apps fetches all your contacts from your mobile. So what all contacts, your friends contacts, your family members contacts, everything, it will go over there. Everything. So here I will just explain you like how exactly the TrueCaller app works now, since we are familiar with like what exactly the content provider is doing here, right? So we have a table structure with us now, contacts, and then all the column references as well. So now, so let's see what exactly the TrueCaller apps does. So TrueCaller is being famous and it is known as a global collaborative phone dictionary. Worldwide, all the contacts are being saved. So generally what will happen is, suppose one of you, I will pick one name, Soundarya is going to install in TrueCaller. So what is going to happen is, Soundarya's contacts database, whatever the value she have, what all the contact list she have, everything will be sent to a TrueCaller server. So like that, as many people will start installing it, that much of data, it will go to a TrueCaller, and that is how your TrueCaller is increasing its data. And now at a specific point of time, TrueCaller knows like which number corresponds to what name, based on the name what you have saved. So sometimes you can do a simple test, like you can save some blank name or something unique phone number with some kind of nickname or something. You can just try to update your TrueCaller app. Then later on, once you find that number, it will reflect with that specific nicknames. So it's not being, your TrueCaller is not fetching your contact names or something like connecting with your mobile provider or something, like SIM provider or something. It's purely based on your mobile contacts. They have not tied up with any of the mobile networks providers. Okay. So this is the flow, how exactly it will go. So as many client books are there, as many TrueCallers they are installing, it will send to the server database. So like this, names and the phone numbers will be saved. And whenever the user is searching for a number, it will pick that phone number, corresponding name, and that will be shown. It's a pure logic written for your TrueCaller app. Okay. So this is the logic hidden behind. So only the part is like how to write a code now. Right. So let's see this part initially, like how the client book. Yeah, Dipta, I can explain that part again. See, suppose you're having a contacts app, right? So in that one, you will be having, suppose 10 numbers over there saved internally. Okay. So that 10 data will be sent to your server. Somewhere the server will be there. Okay. So during this session, I'm using my own server over here. So to that server, all the data will be sent. It's called client server interaction. So you are the client and somewhere the server is residing. So once the server database is updated with all the 10 contact details, whatever you are holding, suppose I am searching some specific number which is being held from your contacts app. Okay. Once I search, what it will do is it will contact the server database telling that I want to get a name from this specific phone number. Suppose I'm searching this specific phone number. Acadgild phone number has 741101. So based on that, it will return me a name as a Acadgild. So here you can see the output also. See. So here, suppose I am passing the specific phone number. Once I click on a search, it will reflect that this is an Acadgild. So that's the basic idea over here. Okay, so now hope is it clear, Dipta, for you? So once we go into the internal coding, it will be more clear. Yeah, I will be explaining you the server part and other things which we are going to use on other things. Okay. Yeah. So let's switch for the coding part again now. The client server module. So now here I am switching with an retrieving the IDs, knowing the tables and then your specific column reference. It doesn't mean that we are done with our coding part. We have to go through each and every record of an contacts and we have to send it to the server. So that is done using a content resolver class. What this content resolver class will do is it will refer to your database fields, whatever here we have set it up. Okay, so once here I am getting a content resolver. So using that content resolver, here I am passing in database query, telling that I want to retrieve all the details related with this specific URI path, which is holding ID, display name, and then has phone number. So that's the thing here we have. So it will return you the whole details. If you're having 10 contact details, whole your contact details will be sent to this cursor. So cursor, you can assume it as a one single link which can pass through your rows and the columns. So it has a capability to go through all the records, row wise or as column wise. So initially it will enter through a row. Within that specific row, it will traverse through your columns and it will go to the next record and then to the next row, specific column references. So like that, it will keep on moving. So that's how this cursor works. Okay, Gaurav has a query like what is the different purpose of content URI and content, okay, phone content URI. So both are different, see. So whenever you are saving your database, it will, whole data you will not be having within one table structure. It will be normalized. So in the same way, this is your main table. So that main table has been categorized into a subtable of a phone. So this main table will be holding only 3 records, only display name, and for that specific name, whether the person has a phone number or not. That's it. The main table is consisting of. If you require the phone numbers, you have to go to this specific second table called an phone content URI, which is a specific different table and which will be having a different path to that. Yes. So it's not a nulls. Actually, has phone number will consist of an phone number count. Suppose for a specific person, you have 3 contacts. So it will hold and count like 3. Okay. So coming to here, someone has asked like what exactly this nulls are. So this nulls are nothing but an additional queries if you want to pass like sorting, or if you have some kind of query like having by clause, like you want to fetch only the details who are born after like 80 years or something, 80 year or something. So those all things here you can have. Okay. So it's purely based on that what all fields here you're gonna pass. Okay, so it will be more clear once we go to the next logic part over here. So here I can explain that part. See, so here also I'm passing the same query, which here I'm having. So here exactly I'm telling that this is a table reference, and here I have a specific query like I want to retrieve only the values which I require. So if you see here, I want to refer this contact ID, phone contact ID with a contact ID which is referring your main table. That is called primary key and the foreign key linkage. Okay, so like this queries, you can pass it over here. And the last part is order. So if you want to refer even more like what all things you can pass, here the documentation is available like. So here I'm going for that. See. This all are the parameters. So this is a sort order, which I am speaking about. Whether you want all the values to be retrieved in some kind of order, like ascending or descending orders. So those all things here you can have. In this specific app, it was not required. So I'm just passing it as a null. So it all depends. Okay. So let's go step by step. Like once you have retrieved it here, no, you cannot leave it empty instead of null. It's purely stick to in Java. You have to pass some values over there. So always it's better to pass it as a null so that it can be handled with a null pointer easily. So that's how the professional way of coding will be done always. So now once we have a cursor link, as I told, we have to move to the first record, right? So in a while, here I am passing that one. Cursor dot move to next. Move to next means always your cursor position will be at a -1 initially. Okay. So that -1, you have to move it to a 0. So when you call here move to next, it will initially go to a 0, the 0th record. So once you have moved to a 0th record using this cursor, that 0th record get string here I'm getting. Get string of which value? So here I'm passing like cursor dot get column index. I want to get a column index of _id. So once I get a column index, so based on that, I can retrieve the value. It's like in Excel, you will be traversing, right? Row wise, column wise. Once you have reached your particular cell, so it will tell you that you are at this particular column index or at this specific row, telling that A1 and the C1 or something. So that's the indexing over here. So once you reach that specific cell, getString will retrieve the value. So this is the value over here. Same step you have to retrieve just by passing in different column indexing. So here we have got _id and here we are getting an display name. So that's the only difference. Okay. Someone has replied like main dot activity does not come like Android Studio with all the codes. So is it specific about the page? And one more thing is like main activity name can be renamed. It's not necessary like you need to have a main activity itself. If you're not coming to you, you can directly create it. And your Eclipse structure and your Android Studio structure is completely different. Okay, so no more we can use an Eclipse because it's outdated and you will not get any kind of updates for your Eclipse. So that's the reason Android Studio is preferred. And it has been a consumer stable release from this specific January. So just if any one of you are using Eclipse still, they can immediately switch for an Android Studio. Because Android Studio is the one for which you will get more updates quickly. Whatever the builds they are doing, first it will be released for an Android Studio only. So as a developer, we have to make sure like we are up to date with our technologies for a testing. Okay. So get column index, Dipta has a doubt like get column index, how exactly it works. Okay. So get column index, it works something like this, like suppose here you're having an A column reference. And here I'm having a B. That is a contact name, suppose. So here you have an ID. And here you have a name fields. Okay. So in this part now, I want to go to this ID. So what is the column index of that? It's an 0. So this column index is at first position. So I want to retrieve this ID value of a first row, because here at the 0th row, right? So it will go to the 0 row, 0 indexing, because this ID is mapped with the 0. So based on that, here your values will be retrieved. So whatever the value here you're holding for this specific linkage part, A and the ID, that value here you will be retrieving it. Okay, is it clear, Dipta? It's Sarvajit, it's same for everything. Like you can refer, and if you search in the internet, like contacts, content provider, Android developer. So it will traverse you for an official document of an Android developer site. Okay, so there they have mentioned contacts developer has mentioned all the tables. Like if you want to get this table value, these are the columns, and this is how you have to retrieve. The same logic has been, same coding has been mentioned it over here. So it will not be different for different version. It is same. Some additional they will be adding, keep on growing for each and every build version, because software is such a kind, like software or any application, it will never end. We will keep on adding the features. So what are the updates you want to get, you can just go through that documentation. Every day they will be doing some kind of updates if any updates is coming into their application. Okay, so someone is asking regarding this content resolver. So it's very simple, it's just referring you to the database fields, that's it, nothing else it is doing. So once it refers to your database fields, then only we can pass a query to our table, right? So that is how the initial structure will go. Like first database is being created. Once the database is being created, then we will go to the tables, then we will go to the other things like specific table, column references and other things. So this content resolver is going and fetching the database. So using that database, here I'm retrieving the table like content URI, here you can see. Okay, so it is retrieving you the position, cursor stuff, which you can look through your rows and the columns. So using that cursor, here I'm moving through the records. So Mala has a query like, do you use a mix of Java APIs and Android APIs? So exactly, it seems to be like a mixture, but Google APIs has been built using a very minimum set of your Java APIs. Only core Java part has been used, not much of that. You cannot use like advanced Java or something. They have removed everything. So they have picked only some part of Java APIs and they have merged within an Android API. Still, it will act as a no, Rajendra, it doesn't use any kind of JSP or servlets. We cannot use it. Okay. No, nothing can be used, only core Java. Till your collections, threads, very basic concepts. Applets too cannot be used because applets are just like again an interactive screen or something which we have. But Android Studio has its own screen design. So we don't have such kind of support. Okay, so now once here you have retrieved all the values over here, and once here also you can see like here we are passing in query for our phone contacts. So using that phone contacts, here I'm moving to the next again, the same logic. So here I'm getting a string of this specific index called a number. So here exactly you will be getting a number of a specific user. So generally in your emulator or your phone, if you see a number, it will be having a special characters, closing brace, open brace, hyphen or comma. So those all things here I'm replacing it using in Java logic. Like replace method is there for your string, and trim method is there for removing the spaces. So that's the same logic here I have used. Nothing special with that. So yeah, Dipta has some question like in loops we are passing all the numbers to the server. No, not in a loop. Till now we have not went to the server part. We are just fetching it and I'm storing it for one loop entry into some specific variable. So now I'm gonna send it to the server, Deepta. Yet we have not into the server part. Okay. So here, Deepta, everyone. So here I'm having in setas and getas encapsulation part of our Java. That is in contacts with a private ID, name, phone number. So to this thing, I will be setting all the values whatever here I have. Whatever the values we have received, the name, phone number. So if you see here, the contact object reference, the class which is consisting of a setas and getas. To that one, here I'm setting the phone number which we have received and the name, and here I'm adding it to the contacts. That's it. So once that part is done, here I'm closing the internal cursor. So why the closing of internal cursor is being done is to avoid the leakage. Because whenever you're leaving your file open, what will happen? Other member cannot edit that file unless you're not closing it. So that's the reason it's must and should, what are the cursors you're opening it, just close it off. Okay, so coming to this part, so once you have closed down, so whole your data is being added to this one. So in Java, we have a concept of a collections, right? So that's the same thing here I have created. Array list type of a class contact. So this contacts object reference is going to hold each and every contact name and the phone number over here. So this is how it's been added over here. So it will consist of all the collection references. As many as it will be adding, it is done. So the next step is, once we have everything, we have to send it to the server, right? So here comes our server logic. So Shipra has some kind of queries like, I have a dirt in Android Studio, like we are just drag and dropping the thing, so I'm missing some of the core parts. So which ID should I use to know and learn each and every concepts, even the drag and drop things in XML? So you have for an Android development only one ID, that is an Android Studio. So nothing you have to look into it. So just you can refer the developer site where you will have all the core parts mentioned, telling that which is used for what all attributes you have to use, what all properties you have to use. Just now we have used like a hint, right? Padding. So those all things will be mentioned over there. So I would not recommend going to any kind of tutorial blog or videos, watching it out. The reason is, if you see those videos, lot many deprecation stuff will be there. So if the terminology is new, I will just explain you what exactly the deprecation means. Deprecation means I cannot use those things further. They will remove that specific class in a future. Okay, so those things should be avoided. No, you cannot use for a NetBeans or other things. For Eclipse, the support is there, but the thing is that they have stopped the updates for that. But still you can use it for earlier versions, or else you have to manually update it for every time. So it is like a time taking. Every time you have to keep on updating it. So that's why the Android Studio is preferred. Shipra. Okay, so Deepta has asked like, can you please explain what is a part before adding is actually doing? Yeah, sure, Deepta. So here, if you see this part, right? So it is just creating an object of a contact. Okay, so that is this class. So if I want to call like set name or set phone number. So here I have a specific methods of an encapsulation part of a Java, like here the name will be sent as an input. That name is being returned to a global variable of a name using this keyword. So it is like just reassigning the values. Okay. So once you're reassigning it, so this part will be holding the specific value. So whenever you call and get name, that name, whatever you have saved earlier, it will be returned. So that's the general logic of a set-as and get-as. It's generally in a professional language, it is mentioned as a model class or a bean class, B-E-A-N. So you can represent it as a model or bean. So that's how these things are working. So here I'm just setting it and I'm adding it to a array list so that I can retrieve it later whenever I'm sending it to the server. So that's a pure logic over here. Okay. So now coming to a part like how I can. So what is the part before the while loop doing? So before the while loop, we are just retrieving the values. That's it. So this is a whole while loop, right? So within this while loop, we have an inner while loop, right? There are two while loops. So first while loop is going through the main data table, and inner while loop is going through the second subtable to retrieve the phone number. So these are the two things. Yeah. So these are the two things, because a main table will be having an ID. So that ID will be a primary key. So when you are going to a subtable, so that primary key of your main table will act as a foreign key, right? So both the linkage is done within over here. Every table has to maintain a chain. Mapping will be done. So that mapping plays an important role. Okay. So now coming to our part, we have to use an threads, Java threads concept, so we can interact with our server. So the threads module will go something like this. So there are two threads in your Android. So one thread is a UI thread, which will be interacting with your UI for the updates, retrieving and then setting it up. So another thing is a background thread. So this background thread will be acting as a sending the data to the server and retrieving the data from the server. So this is how it will go. Okay. So in a UI thread, what are the precautions you have to take before sending some kind of a data to a server? You can do within a on pre-execute. Once your background task is over, that is sending a data to the server. So what all things you want to do once your work is done, those things you can do within the on post execute. So how to start this async task is very simple. Just call a constructor call of your async task, new async task class name dot execute. It will start executing your both the threads, UI thread as well as the background thread. So the logic is very simply written over here. See. So here I have one class called an send contacts to the server. Okay. So which is extending an async task property. So here exactly I'm calling it send contacts to server dot execute by passing the data whatever here we have added to the array list. All the collection of our contacts app, all your data will be sent over here. So this is how it works. So once you are sending it within here exactly you will get array list of contacts within the async task. So once you get, if you see here within this code, I have an do in background method with an input of array list of contacts args. So this is where exactly your logic will start passing in data to the server. Okay. So in this case, again, we have to retrieve the individual values from this args. because we have so many contacts. So here I have a for loop implicated over here. Do in background, it's just a thread which will be running towards your background without disturbing your UI. It will be running in a background. So that's the whole purpose of this one. Because what will happen if you're performing it on the UI, it will crash your screen. So many times you will face an issue like your launcher is closing, no launcher support, or force close options. So those all things will done. So never assign such kind of things on your UI part. So you need to require a separate thread. So this is your separate thread, background thread, which is running towards your background, and always it will be performed in a background. So here once you have that one, so if you see here, I'm getting the first position of an contacts, and here I'm retrieving it. Individual contact detail. So that individual contact detail, I will be sending it to the server. So how to do that one is, here I have an exactly Lakshman, all the operations are being done in one app because I don't want it to create in too many classes, but this all things you can move it to a separate file if you require. Once I send it, you can send it to a separate app and you can work on. Okay. So in this part, if you see here, I'm having a list of name value pair. Okay, so this is an inbuilt class with a name value pair, and list is a type of a collection. So to this one, I'm going to add in data. So if you see here, params, that is an object reference of this one, dot add new basic name value pair. So this is a constructor call which will be adding in basic. No, it will not take more time. So here we have an constant dot key name. So here actually our logic comes. So if you go to the constants, so here I have a key name defined with an value. Okay, so like that all the keys are being defined. So how these keys are defined is, so I have an JSON format in a backend. So here I have started the XAMPP, which is a backend server, which is running locally. So here you have to run an Apache and the MySQL. So once you have started, just click on a MySQL admin. It will open up the page, something like this. So these are all the details which is gonna reside. From our application, we are gonna send it to the server. So this is the server where exactly your name and the phone numbers are residing. So how it will be dealt with it is, I have a PHP code written. So I will not go through the PHP code because you all guys will not be familiar with. So I will just show you the small step, like how exactly I am passing the values. Okay. So here I'm just going with an C, XAMPP. So this is where exactly I have an PHP files. So I'm just traversing through the locations. H3 docs, XAMPP, Acadgild webinar. So within this one, contact server. So if you see here, this is the add contact.php, which is I am trying to open. So if you see here post method is there. Post method is used telling that the mobile app wants to send the data to the server. So here I want to send two fields. One is name, other one is a phone number. So it will be provided to you by a PHP developer. So nothing to worry about that. The same thing here I have written name and the phone number and the other things as well, whatever the PHP developer has given. The same thing here also I'm using. So if you see here, constant.key name, constant.key phone number. No, it will not start automatically. You have to download an XAMPP and then you have to install it and then you have to click on a start. Then it will start. And you can change a configuration setting for that as a automatically. Okay. Yes, you can use any server, XAMPP or anything. No, SQL and other things, no need of installing. Only if you have a XAMPP or a XAMPP, that is fine. Fair enough. Okay. So here, whatever the details we have saved earlier for this contact, so here exactly I'm retrieving it. Earlier we have setted it, right? Contact.getName, contact.getPhone number. That's it. So here I have a general utility class server handler. Okay. Yeah, I will come to the importance of XAMPP. So before that, let me cover up this thing, like what exactly the server handler class is doing. So this is the same code which will be reutilized for all your projects. So there is a method called make service call, where exactly you have to pass the URL of a file, that is local page, where exactly this PHP file is residing. Okay. So another thing is like the method, whether you are using a get request or a post request. Post request, as I mentioned, if you want to send in new details to the server. Get means if you want to retrieve the details, like in search functionality, which we are going to use. For that one, we will be using. So another thing is like the last part will be passing an list type of params. So that's the whole logic written. So now here I am creating an object reference of a service handler, and here I am making a service call. So here I am passing an URL of a constant.postContacts. So this is a constant.postContacts, right? So someone has asked a query like, Dipta, like while running in the phone, which server will the app use? Oh, it is using a XAMPP server. So Android by default rectifies the XAMPP server with this ID 10.0.2.2. And this is a specific 81. If you see here, it's in port number. So those things you have to mention. For each and every server, it will differ. So you have to just Google it out, or else you have to just search it on the professional website for an XAMPP or for an Android. So at any one place, they will be mentioning it. Okay. So this is a unique part. So once you post it as a live, right? So at that time, you can use a specific URL. So at that time, this local host and other things values will not go. Yes, 443 is an STP port number through which we can just open up our servers over here. So any one thing you can use. So either one thing will go. Okay. So now once you have executed that specific one, okay, using this get request and other things, successfully the data will be sent. And you will be getting some kind of response. So this is the way how we have done in server interaction. So in the back end, how the service handler, this class is acting is, it's having a cool feature, something like this. So once we are issuing the URL, right, host, port, path, and the file, PHP file. So the data will be sent to the server, and your server will be updated. So based on the server updation, again here we are gonna get a response telling that the app has been successfully updated with the values within the server or not. And the same thing is gonna work out for a get request as well. Okay, so it will be more clear like how the app format will be in a get request. So it will be something like this. So whenever I'm requesting this get request, so using the PHP, your MySQL part will be converted to a JSON, and JSON stands for an JavaScript object notation. So it will be something like this. Okay, so in this case also, just you have to link up with your names. So here we have a JSON object which stands for in curly brace, and JSON array if it is an triangular brace over here. Okay, square braces if you have here, it is an JSON array. So this JSON array and JSON object are classes within your Android. Okay. So Dipta, coming to setting up an XAMPP server, nothing setup is required. Just you have to download and you have to install. Automatically, it will fetch your ports and other things. So just you have to start it up. Okay. So once you have started up, just click on this admin. Automatically, your screen will be launched. So here you can see the screen, right? Localhost 81. So that one automatically will be started up. So where you can execute your queries and other things. You can create your database and other stuff over there for a backend. Yes, Rajendra, your XAMPP contains your Tomcat, MySQL and everything in its build itself. Dipta has one more query like how to connect it to the app. So for connection, nothing is required. Just here, as I mentioned, within the constant here, the get contacts or post contacts here we are having, right? So here I'm passing the port number. So that is connecting our Android device with this server. So that is an unique for your Android Studio emulators. If you're using third-party emulators like BlueStack or Genymotion, again the port numbers and the local host number, it will differ. Okay. So this port number I have received again from a documentation from an Android developer site. Okay, so they have mentioned like if I have to integrate with an Android Studio, the server part, I have to use this port. Automatically, the rest of the things will be taken care. Exactly, Sarvajit, you're true. So that is what here we are trying to do. Okay. So now once we have sent the server, each and every details will be saved. So the next part is retrieving the things. So here I have a method called get contact from the server. So whenever the user is clicking on a search button, right? So at that time I will be doing that one. So this is the search button. Here I am performing set on click listener. At that time here again I'm executing the async task, which is pretty more clear now, right? How to use an async task and other things. So in this execute, from this edit text object reference number, here I'm getting a text and then converting to a string. Okay. SQLite is not used, Shipra, exactly because contacts application is using the SQLite. We are not building any kind of SQLite over here. It's a third party, or you can think it is another application. Okay, so everything is like a backend server coding. So in Android, I have not created any kind of database as of now. Yeah, you can connect to any of the database in a backend. That is up to your choice. And generally, if I come to a account, if I come to a MongoDB or other things, yes. So in enterprise application, other things, you cannot rely on a one server or something. So they will be using the big data and the MongoDBs and other things. Okay, as a backend. So for that one, you have to refer their site, like what all setups are required for that, Shipra. Okay, so yeah. So Lakshya, you can refer the MongoDB site, like how to connect with that, the steps, because for each and every technology, the steps is going to differ. Okay. So just you can go through once and you can have a trial with that. Yeah. So now coming to the retrieval part, I was explaining, right? So coming to the retrieval part, whenever you're clicking on a search, as I told here, exactly we are passing the number to the execution. Right? We want to get some kind of contact from the server. So let's switch back to that specific code. So this is the pure code. And this is the last coding snippet which we are going to see. Because we have done with our all the interaction, like what is activity, what is screen design, and how to send in data to the server, how the XAMPP things are working, and how to link up your PHP code, which will be given with the PHP developers. So now retrieval part is little bit like JSON format we have to understand, right? So here if you see the contact, whatever you are gonna get, right? So here I am getting the first position of an contact. So let me go down. So this is the one, right? So here exactly you will be connecting with an get contact from server, and here exactly your string data will be sent. Okay. So here if you see within the do in background, you are going to retrieve that string contact as we discussed in our earlier code of also for a post. So within this ARG, this 0 index represents that the first one, whatever in the execute command we are sending, that one I have to send. So here also I have attached to the params, list of params which we are going to send. Okay. So whatever the data is, you're going to send to a server. There are 3 things taken into account. One is based on what values you want to retrieve. So here our query is based on this phone number I want to retrieve. So that is very pretty simple, which I have added to a params over here, which is of a type of list again. So that is what here I have sent. Second one is an URL. So this is an URL which is coming from a constant. So if you see, this is the path for your specific PHP file, getContact.php, which is residing locally within my system and which is being retrieved through a server. Okay, so once that is done, whenever you are sending a request, here you are gonna get a response. So that's the response here I have spoken about, like you will be getting in a JSON format, something like this. Okay, so now we have to go through it. So the first response, what you're gonna get is JSON object, this curly brace. So let's concentrate on that. So here if you see, within the on post execute, I am gonna do those responses changes. So what are the response here you are written within a do in background that will act as an input for your on post execute. Okay, and here if you see, I am passing to the JSON object constructor call so that it can make your setas and getas automatically. It's an inbuilt part. So once you have here the JSON object reference, so using that one get 10 string of a tag key called success. Okay, so here I will just show you up. So here I'm opening up the tab. So here I'm going for a local host. See, this is how you will be retrieving. Success is the first tag. The same tag here I am passing. Key success. So here you will get in status like 0 or 1. So in our case, we have got 0 over here. Means there is no record. If you get 1, the record is there. Okay. So if it is 1, exactly Soundarya, we are retrieving it through a PHP. PHP data will format and it will give you in a JSON formatting. Okay. So here, once you go into that one, so here using that object reference, here we are going to get JSON array. So in the PPT, as I shown you, once you get a success tag, after that it's a JSON object reference over here, which you have to retrieve, or else array reference. So this JSON array reference I'm going to get over here, which will be holding some specific name called an contact. So that is a JSON array of tag contacts. Okay, so it's pretty much clear with the picture, like this is a tag of an JSON array and that's name is called an contact. So that's how the logic has been written. So you have to understand each and every line of a JSON code again. Okay, so this is the data now. So using the data get in JSON object of 0th position. Because it's an array, we have lot many contact details again. So here I am retrieving only one indexing of that specific array, which will give me an JSON object. Means only this specific part, and that will be stored within your data over here. And now we have a JSON object, so just we have to retrieve an values. So here I am calling using a JSON object get JSON string of tag name, get the name of the user as it's been mentioned over here. So whenever you're calling here the name, it will return you this value, Acadgild or whatever the name is based on that. So that's the name. Here I am retrieving it. I am assigning it to a text view through a setText method. Hey, it's the specific name. If it is not there within the database, here I am retrieving it as an unknown number. So this is how the things are working internally. So if you see here, if you search it out, any kind of number, see, here I'm searching a number, it's reflecting an Acadgild. So here I basically have two emulators launched. This is one emulator which stands with my name, and one more is Acadgild's. So here, whatever the details here I have, like Acadgild, David, Geeta, Kiran, KK. So those all things, if you see within our database, is also there. Acadgild, David, KK, Geeta, those all things. So out of that, here I have searched for this specific number within another emulator, thinking that another person is trying to search the fields. So once I click on a search, it will be reflected over here. So we can search for other things as well. So here I'm just searching for my number over there, the first value over here. So just have a click on a search. See, same name. So that's how the TrueCaller app is functioning internally. So any kind of quick queries here. Anyone has any kind of queries, like how exactly the things are working internally, how the codes are related, and what all tools you have to use? Yeah. Sorry, I forgot that point. You are using you have asked regarding an XAMPP importance, right? So that basically acts as a server to you. So if you see in XAMPP, it has lot many features, like you can integrate with a Tomcat server, additional server, or you can run within an Apache server. So either one server you can use, and you can include in FileZilla, where you can upload your things and you can integrate with your MySQL. So these are all like inbuilt features and the services which you have all at one place. So that's the very much importance of a XAMPP. And you can control it as you require. Exactly, Sarvajit. I'm running all the SQL queries in a PHP code. So I'm not sure whether you know the PHP or not, but I can show you the sample. See here. This is a PHP code of add contact. So here exactly I'm doing the insert command. Insert into the table name. So whatever you are sending from an Android mobile to a server, so those all things will be inserted into your server code. Soundarya, there are a lot many classes and methods to be kept in mind, but once you start developing it, automatically you will get to know like what all the things you have to use. So out of all the classes, I have explained two important classes, that is an activity and the content provider. Okay, so there are a lot many things, like you will find around crores of classes and the packages, which is very difficult to keep in mind. But based on your project requirement, you will be learning those things. So today also, if you see, we have seen lot many classes over there, right? So remembering those things is very difficult. As we practice, keep on doing it, we will get to know. Exactly, Sarvajit. I am using here the JSON decode functionality and the encode functionality over here, which will give us the JSON response. And if you see here, see, success message here I'm passing. So Deepta has some kind of query. If we want to create a widget for the app, how to create it? So Deepta, you want to create your own widget or how exactly? Your own widget, right? So whatever the own widget you are trying to create, you can make it as a library, and you can add your library within this Gradle file. So I will just show you up as you asked it. So here I'm just opening up the app. So you can add your library within this Gradle file. Okay, suppose this is the library which you have created using in Java code. Okay, so this specific app compact v4 library is having lot many of custom widgets and the things. So where I will find is once you have added it within this custom view. So if I double click it, see, this many widgets are there, which has been included within the support.v4 file, the app compact, the additional library which you have included. So in that way, you have to develop an additional library for your own widget, which you can market it in your online later on once you have developed it. So Gaurav has one query like you ran the app on emulator and thus it is communicating to the XAMPP server as you have given that path. If you install the same app on phone, it won't work in the same way, right? Exactly, Gaurav, it will not work. We have to go with the live server. We have to purchase a server and we have to host it over there. As we don't wanted a misuse on this app, so that's why we have not purchased an server over there, because if you are passing the code and other things with you all guys, you will start updating your contacts details and other things, and it will be like public again, and we have to come up with the terms and conditions. So we don't wanted that, so that's why I have came up with an logic of having an own server through which without purchasing a server also you can test your applications. Okay, and PHP code will also be sent to you. So if you know a little bit PHP or something, you can just refer those codes as well. Okay, so now, yeah, we can create a push notifications as well for this one. So we have to connect it with the cloud. So hope I have not missed anything in between. If you want to create a widget for the app, how to create it, that's been answered, right? Yeah, so Deepta has one more query like how to create an widget linking to a predefined app like the calendar app or something like that. Yeah, so create or how to use it. So if you want to create it, that's the only thing. Like if you see here, the calendar app is also coming from here itself, right? So these are all Android provided widgets. Okay, so if you want to have your own widgets here, you can include your widgets over here. Include is there. So all your whatever the widgets you are gonna create, right, it will go within the custom. Your Android system will not allow you to have it over here. Like date picker is there, other things are there, right? So it won't allow you. So always you have to refer for a custom view itself. So for an example, if I show you a simple part, I will go with. So drop down list view is there. So that is a custom widget developed by someone else, suppose you have added a library. So just I will click on OK, and that will be added over here. So just you have to click on that one. So you can try up with creating a new layout and then using it over there. Okay. So for that one, APIs will be provided for the calendar app. So calendar app, how you can connect with it? It is an generally an content provider itself. So I will just show you the things for that. I got to know Dipta. So generally your contacts thing and other things works on like something like this. So here I'm opening up the calendar initially. So that is also a content provider. So that's how you can link up with. Yes, I am going to that one only. See here. So any of the widgets which you are gonna do, if you want to pre-configure it with your specific apps, like, so then you need to create your own content provider. So now in this specific example, we have seen how to use already the created content provider, right? So in the same way, you have to come up with your own content provider, and you have to prepare a documentation, something like this. So if you see here, see, for an events, this is a specific ID. So here you can have an attendees, reminders, instances, and other things. So like that, here you will be specifying the tables, what are tables you are using for your app, and this is some kind of manifest permissions which you have to give, and the query, what all things you are going to pass, and other things. So based on that, you can give a linkage for that one. Not directly. What are the widgets you are going to create or custom views you are going to create? If you want to create an connection with your calendar app or something, so you have to have your own content provider for that one. So what I have used within this one is contacts provider today. So here you can just go through it. We have used lot many things over here. See, contacts, contract dot contacts. So that's the one which I have used. So if I go to that specific table, so here you can see there are a lot many things again. So this all tables are residing. So among that one, this is a class which I have used again. Like if you require a phone type, you can go with the phone type or additional data and other things. So if you explore, there are a lot many things to go up with. So hope you have got Deepta, or still any confusion is there. If still any confusion is there, you can just elaborate it. Okay, that's good, Deepta. So just you can start working on Deepta, like how to create a own content provider and other things. And you can start working on creating an additional library for your custom view. Then the interaction will be pretty more simple. You need to have your own database SQLite within the Android creator. Then the linkage will be done between all the three using your own classes and other things, methods, etc. Sure. Anytime you all can contact an Acadgild support team, will always be there to help you out. Okay. Yeah. So any other queries or something? You can refer our website, contact details, and other things to get in touch with us. So it's been displayed over here in our slide. Like you can refer through the websites, and from there you can contact, or through a LinkedIn or through a Facebook. Okay. So directly the mail will come to our support team. From there, it will be passed to the developers. And developers will just reply you back with your queries. So it's very pretty simple name. Like you have to just go with the specific Facebook website /Acadgild or LinkedIn website /Acadgild or our website with the www.acadgild.com. We will always be there to solve your queries. Okay. So yeah. So hope yeah, so this tutorial, this PPT and code examples and other things will be sent to you, and we are coming up with a blog as well for this one, like step by step, each and every line will be explained, whatever is in this video, and video also will be shared to you. Okay, so don't bother about the things. So just concentrate on the logic parts, like how the application has worked over here. So that is more important to get started with. So once you get starting, then you will learn lot many classes and other things as well based on your references. So still I'm waiting for queries. I can wait for 5 more minutes. If you guys have no other queries, then we can end up with this webinar. Okay, Gautam has some queries, like I'm having some text in Word, something like saying of leaders. In Word document, you have to do, okay, you want to search it up, right? So using a file class of your Java, you have to just open up that file, giving that specific path of the file, and just load it internally within some specific reference or your data type. So based on that, you just start using a string buffer or a string builder class for a search functionality. So there are search methods already, the ways of searching. So you can use that one, Gautam. Sure, Lakshman, I can give you regarding a short explanation for a JSON. Yeah, I will come to you. So Soundarya has previously asked, like, how do I download an Android developer? So Soundarya, do you mean like downloading an Android Studio, or what exactly? Android Studio, right? So it's very pretty simple. Like if you just go here, so just type it out, Android Studio, Android developer. See, installing the Android SDK or download the Android Studio and SDK tools. So there itself you will find the link. Just you have to download it from here. Okay, yeah, Soundarya, you are welcome. So Kaushik has some queries like where to see an video again. It will be shared to you through a drive, Google Drive. So the link, so you can download it and you can keep it within your local reference. It will be shared with a view permission, so just you can add it to your drive so that you can look after it later on. And we may be coming up by hosting it within our site or else in a YouTube as well. Okay, as a permanent solution. Yeah. So coming to Lakshman back, yeah. So Lakshman, you need to go through an JSON part, right? So yeah, so I will go through that one. So see here. So JSON is very pretty simple thing. So like whenever you're developing any kind of applications, right? So there will be two phases. Here we are using PHP and Android, right? PHP code doesn't understand an Android Java code, and Java of an Android code doesn't understand an PHP, right? So we require some kind of medium for both the interaction. So there where the JSON comes into the picture. So JSON is such a format written which your PHP code can understand as well as your Java code of your Android can understand. So JSON stands for in JavaScript object notation, and it has a specific picture. So which I showed you earlier, like it will be having a JSON object and JSON array, right? So that is a specific format which it will be having. So apart from that, it's the latest trend of using a JSON. So earlier we used to have an XML coding, the tags, just in a web development, which we have opening tag and the closing tag. So in that format it used to have, but that was giving a little bit slower response time and other things. So that's the reason why nowadays JSON is preferred. Even the Google Maps retrieving, like nearby ATM centers and other things, those are also has been written using the JSON format itself. They will release the APIs for individual one. So that's the purpose of having a JSON actually. Shipra, not exactly. You did not know the PHP, because if you want, you can learn it, but without having a PHP knowledge also, you can start creating in your Android app. So generally for an MNCs and other things, PHP developers will be different, and for Android developers, it will be different. And there will be communication happening between both. So if you want to create a whole your enterprise app yourself, then yes, you need to know the PHP as well. Some basic commands is fine. Yeah. So any other queries? So hope all your queries has been resolved. I have not missed any one of that. So if anyone's has been missed, you can just quickly ping me again, because a lot many chats has happened. So I cannot scroll through like each and everything again, like whether I have answered or not. Okay then. So hope. Sure, Rajendra. Yeah. Okay then. It was nice interacting with you everyone for this webinar, and hope you have learned a lot with this webinar. Hoping so that. So here I am successfully ending the webinar stuff for today. So we will be coming up with lot many webinars like this. So hope you can rejoin for that. Okay. Hope to getting back in touch with you all guys after this webinar through a support team. Yeah. Thank you so much for your good feedbacks. Okay then. Bye everyone.